You are listening to the Nightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks so much for listening. Coming up, we'll get you set for week one of the college football season in the American, including a look at our spotlight game of the week as number 23 Cincinnati takes on number 19 Arkansas. Chad Brendel of BearcatsJournal.com will join me to talk about that in just a little bit. So as one of my favorite broadcasters, Steve Zabin, likes to say, Lord Football is back. Yes, it is time to get the college football season underway. There was week 0, of course, last week, but sorts of action in the American this week for week 1. Let's run down the schedule, shall we? So it all kick off Thursday night. South Carolina State at UCF. That'll be 7 o'clock Thursday on ESPN+. The Knights lead the all-time series 3-0, and the Knights shut South Carolina State out last time they played in 2018 by a 38-0 score. A Friday night tilt between Temple and Duke. That'll be 7:30 on the ACC network. Did I mention all times are Eastern? Duke leads that all-time series. They've only played once before, and that was back in 2018, and the Blue Devils won over the Temple Owls 56-27. Turning to Saturday, East Carolina will play host to number 13 NC State. That's a noon kickoff on ESPN. The Wolfpack lead the all-time series 18-13, and they won the last meeting against the Pirates back on August 31st, 2019 by a 34-6 score. Navy will play host to Delaware. That's a noon kick on CBS Sports Network. The Midshipmen lead the all-time series 10-7, won the last meeting back in 2013 by a 51-7 score. 24th ranked Houston will take on UT San Antonio, 3:30 on CBS Sports Network. That all-time series tied at a game apiece. UTSA won the last meeting way back in 2014. Tulsa on the road at Wyoming, a 3:30 kickoff time on FS1. Believe it or not, they've played 6 times, and that series split down the middle at 3 each. Tulsa won the last meeting in 2019 by a 24-21 score. South Florida will play host to number 25 BYU. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff on ESPNU. They have played twice previously and are even at 1-1. And BYU was victorious last season, 35-27. Massachusetts will pay a visit to the Tulane Green Wave. That's a 7 o'clock ESPN Plus game. And Tulane won their only meeting back in 2016 by a 31-24 score. Memphis on the road to battle Mississippi State, 7:30 on ESPNU. Mississippi State leads the all-time series 34-11. Memphis, though, won the last meeting in last season, back in September, by a 31-29 score. SMU plays a road game at North Texas, not very far away, but that will definitely be a road game for them. 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. The Mustangs lead the all-time series 34-6 and won last year's meeting by a 35-12 score. And up next, we'll focus on our Spotlight Game of the Week as number 23 Cincinnati visits number 19 Arkansas. Chad Brendel of BearcatsJournal.com joins me to talk about that next on the AAC Report.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Nightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
All right, Town Nile to talk about our Spotlight Game of the Week as we discuss Cincinnati taking on Arkansas. And joining us to talk about that and the Bearcats from Bearcats Journal, we welcome Chad Brendel. Chad, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's first talk about the great success of last season with the Bearcats, of course, making it to the college football playoff. And, of course, you know, I hate the P5G5 designation as much as anybody does, but Cincinnati becomes the first team from the group of five to break the ceiling and get into the college football playoff. What a tremendous season and something that Bearcat fans will have to look back on for a long, long time.
Yeah, it was a really weird, interesting season because once they got past Notre Dame, they beat Indiana at Indiana, and then they go win at Notre Dame, and from there the pressure was just crippling to that team at times throughout the season. But they still managed to find ways, even when they weren't at their best, or I think there were a couple situations where they get up, 10, 14 points, and then when they couldn't immediately put it away, then, that doubt creeps in. Are we going to win by enough? We can't just be perfect. We have to be more than perfect. So watching the veteran leadership of that team kind of snake their way through that season and manage to go undefeated, it was very interesting to cover. It was a really fun team to watch, and the weight of the expectations didn't get them, but it almost did a couple times.
Yeah, and of course, I think anybody would say, throughout the course of a college football season, to go undefeated, being good is one thing, but sometimes you gotta have a little bit of luck too, right?
Sure, and the funny thing was, even in the games where they struggled a little bit, they were ahead mode, they were in control most of the time. They just didn't, they weren't able to, that little stretch in the middle of the season where teams kind of hung around and made it look closer than maybe it was in the final score. And I remember at one point, Luke Fickell had to yell at them in the locker room after a win because they didn't feel like, they didn't win by enough, and it was going to hurt their perception in the rankings or whatever. And that's a weird, I've been doing this for 25 years. That's a weird vibe kind of to be around, where a team wins and it's like, well, we didn't do enough in that win to get us where we want to go. That part of that middle stretch was very strange.
Yeah. And of course you bring up Luke Fickell and what he has done to build the program at Cincinnati. I'm still amazed that he is still there, because I'm sure he could coach anywhere, and it's not for teams haven't tried to pry him away, but the fact that he has stayed has been amazing. And then of course moving to the Big 12, he does not have to seek a Power 5 job now.
Yeah, I mean, Luke's a different guy. I explain this a lot when I get asked this question, or get asked what has led to him still being there. Remember, he was at Ohio State 14 years, and as a coach and coordinator, and coordinated some of the best defenses in the country, and still never was never really in a hurry to leave Ohio State, and it's been a similar way at Cincinnati. And when asked about it, I mean, his answer is very genuine. He said, like, I still feel like I have things to accomplish here. I still feel like I have goals. And as long as I have something to, like, continue building for, I'm not necessarily looking to get out of here. You know, like, he's not a climber, right? He's not wired the way that most college football coaches are wired. And then you add in the fact that his family loves it here. He's got 6 kids. One of them is an offensive lineman at UC. The other 5 are scattered throughout the different parochial school districts around Cincinnati. And, you know, I just think that, you know, the way that he's wired is more about loyalty and family. And it's going to take a lot to get him out of here. And it's interesting because, you know, a lot of these jobs are in smaller college towns, and that's, you know, they're looking for what the private school system looks like, and, you know, what kind of football or athletics programs, volleyball for his daughter. They're looking at just different things than most coaches consider when it's give me the money and how much of it can I fit in my duffel bag.
Yeah, for sure. And again, moving into the Big 12 is, you know, he gets to graduate regardless.
Yeah.
As far as that is concerned. So now we look at the 2022 season. So it's a whole new thing. And of course, you know, Cincinnati is losing a terrific quarterback in Desmond Ridder. And so who lines up under center this season, and what are the expectations?
The expectations are still win a conference championship and play in a New Year's Six bowl. Those were the expectations last year. They just outlived, or, you know, did better than those expectations and made the playoff. I think they're the same. And honestly, if they get past Arkansas, which is going to be a daunting task this weekend, they're probably going to be favored, or if not favored, you know, very narrow underdogs, maybe to either UCF or SMU, but they would have a chance to do it again and put up their 3rd consecutive undefeated regular season, which is just
insane,
absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to go undefeated once. Just thinking about it 2 more times is crazy. Yeah, that's for sure. But, you know, how will they be with what they're losing on the offensive side from last year to this year?
I mean, everybody, of course, knows Desmond Ridder, and then Alec Pierce had a phenomenal career, got drafted in the 2nd round by the Colts. I think the one not enough people are talking about is the loss of Jerome Ford at running back, who was a late-round pick by the Browns. He just found out today he made the Browns roster. But if you played Cincinnati over the past year and a half, you know Jerome Ford was a big-time home run threat. You know, he was one of the top touchdown scorers in the nation last year. And if you date back to the Peach Bowl, you know, one of the lasting images of that season, and especially that game, was Jerome Ford running through an SEC defense and sprinting past defensive backs like they were standing still. So that, I think, is going to be a big loss, and that's, you know, they've got 2 guys battling for the quarterback position that I think both would be very good. One being Ben Bryant, who was at Cincinnati, transferred to Eastern Michigan last year to get some experience, and then came back to Cincinnati. And then Evan Prater, who's the highest-rated recruit in program history. So they're pretty good at running or at quarterback. Whichever guy wins the job. They're loaded at wide receiver. This is as deep a wide receiver room as they've had in, you know, the past 8 years or so. But I go back to running back. You know, if they can replace what Jerome Ford gave them via committee, which is probably going to be more of this year, they're going to have another offense that can really put points on the board and complement a defense that's been one of the stingiest in the country.
Yeah, you know, you bring up a great point about Jerome Ford, and I guess, yes, the defenses that played against him knew what his last name was because they were watching him from behind.
They watched his back a lot, yep.
That's for sure. So, of course, you know, we know a Luke Fickell program is built on defense, and
yes,
that has that has been the cornerstone of the Bearcats' rise. So, you're losing some great secondary players, but there's still lots to love about the Bearcat defense. So, to me, that's going to be the key. As their offense maybe gets their footing, the defense allows them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Pro Football Focus type, they just released their best linebacker cores in the country yesterday. And Cincinnati had the number 2 linebacking core in the country by PFF's projections coming into the season. So it's going to probably look a little bit different than last year where they had the best secondary in the country. Now it's going to be a little bit more done with that group in the middle. And then they feel really good about the 3 guys they've got set to start on the defensive line. So they might be a team that's not as, stingy in the back end, where they had the number 1 pass efficiency defense in the country last year. This might be done a little bit more around the line of scrimmage, a little bit more blitzing, a little bit more pressure, especially up the middle, with a former top 100 recruit in Jawan Briggs at nose tackle. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch early, because I do think they're going to, obviously you're not going to be able to just rely on that defense to erase every third down opportunity, which is what it felt like they did a year ago. This time you might see a little bit more, second and long, third and long, because they were able to be disruptive, more disruptive at the point of attack. So that'll be the challenge for Luke Fickell and linebackers coach Mike Tressel. Tressel's always been regarded as kind of a linebacker guru, put a ton of linebackers into the NFL in his tenure at Michigan State. So this is kind of right up his alley and what kind of team they've got and what strengths they're going to be playing to. But obviously there's a ton to replace in the secondary, and how they do that will define whether this is, a top 25 level defense, which I think Luke Fickell's always going to have a top 25 level defense, or if this is another top 10 bunch. That's going to be determined by how good that secondary is that replaces. Everybody talks about Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant, but Brian Cook at safety was also a second-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs. So you lost 3 high-end guys that it's not going to be easy to just plug and play.
Yeah. How much of an impact does Marcus Freeman's departure to Notre Dame have? I know, he was a tremendous defensive coordinator, but the fingerprints of the defense are Luke Fickell's.
Yeah, I mean, Freeman left before last year.
Yeah, true.
So that defense still played with a lot of Marcus Freeman's fingerprints on it, because they returned almost everybody. And why mess with something that was working as well as that was working? This will be the first year to that question where we really get to see, what does a Mike Tressel defense under Luke Fickell look like? It sounds like and looks like, from what we've seen in practice, they'll stay with the 3-3-5 as their base, but I'm guessing there'll be a little bit more multiple as the season goes on, and give teams a little bit more to think about. Where, that 3-3-5 the last 2 years under Freeman, and because they unveiled that, they surprised UCF with that in 2019.
Sure did.
That was not something UCF was expecting. Yeah. And they pulled that out of the hat. They had never used it before. They kind of perfected it over the past couple of years, and I don't think Luke Fickell sees any reason to really mess with something that's working.
Yeah. And I tell you what, COVID has ruined my memory. I guess I can no longer keep track of time since then, because time has gotten all out of whack. But for sure, yeah, obviously defense is the calling card and will be the factor for the Bearcats no matter what. So let's talk about this game coming up with Arkansas. Both teams ranked in the top 25. You get a chance to pick off an SEC team. What are your thoughts about this upcoming game?
So the biggest worry you have with Arkansas is obviously it starts at quarterback with KJ Jefferson, 6'4", 240 pounds. He's a dual threat, read option type guy, but he can definitely beat you with his arm. This is a Briles, system where they're going to go over the top, but they want to run at you. They were the leading rush offense in the country last year. They've got a massive offensive line. If you're Cincinnati, that's what you have to worry about. I think first and foremost is controlling the game at the point of attack, because if Arkansas can average 4 or 5 yards a carry, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. They're just going to run at Cincinnati all day. You have to keep them behind the sticks. And if you can do that and keep your defense from having to be on the field, I think this offense has enough weapons that they can make this a game well into the fourth quarter. And from there, you hope you're the team that doesn't make a mistake and flip the momentum of the game. I think because Arkansas does return their quarterback, I give an edge to Arkansas in that regard. But, this is a Cincinnati team that hasn't lost a regular season game since 2019. And I know they got a lot of guys that want to prove we weren't successful last year just because of the guys that went to the NFL. This is a program now, and not just a team that happened to have a great collection of guys and have a great run. If I'm gambling, forced to gamble in this game, I would think it's going to be probably Arkansas by a very narrow margin. But I wouldn't put it past Cincinnati to figure out a way to pull this thing out.
Okay. And, of course, you mentioned the starting quarterback has not been decided yet. Are we not going to know this until the guys come out of the tunnel on Saturday?
Well, slight correction. It has been decided. He's just not telling us.
Okay, there you go. Yes. Yeah. So, he's made up his mind.
He made that very clear today in his press conference, weekly press conference. He was asked, have you picked a quarterback? Yes. But I have no reason to tell you, and I'm not going to. Okay, fair.
Well, at least makes the press conference entertaining, if nothing else, right?
It's always that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Chad, I thank you very much for taking the time to talk Bearcats with us. So if you would, before you go, I always allow my folks who join the program to give shameless plugs for the endeavors they are behind, so please do so.
You can find us at bearcatjournal.com. You can follow us on pretty much every social media platform at Bearcat Journal. You can follow me at Chad Brendel. We're everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. We try to pump out as much content as we possibly can. So you can find us on all your favorite social media apps. And then, like I said, as always, you can find the content all aggregated at bearcatjournal.com.
Again, that Cincinnati-Arkansas game is a 3:30 kick on Saturday on ESPN. It will be the first time those schools have met on the gridiron. Back with some final news and notes, where the AAC report continues right after this.
If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Nightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
All right, let's turn our attention now to volleyball as UCF, the four-time defending AAC champ, was the unanimous favorite in the AAC Conference preseason coaches poll as voted on by the league's head coaches. The Knights running favorites receiving all 10 first-place votes from the league's other coaches, earning a maximum of 100 points. Houston was runner-up in the preseason poll at 88 points, followed by Cincinnati in third at 77. And for a third straight season, UCF outside hitter Mckenna Melville has been tabbed as the unanimous preseason player of the year. She led the nation with 701 points and 617 kills last year. The preseason all-conference team looks like this. Mckenna Melville's teammate Claudia Dillon and Amber Olson are on that team. Abby Walker of Cincinnati, Annie Cook of Houston, along with her teammates Katie Georgiadis of Houston and Abby Jackson, and Rachel Tullis, Rachel Wolf of SMU, Kaylee Cassidy of Tulsa, a trio of Wichita State players, Natalie Foster, Briley Kelly, and Casey Litzow. And after last week, the Offensive Player of the Week was Sophia Rolling of Wichita State, and the Defensive Player of the Week was Kate Georgiadis of Houston. Turning to soccer, the defending American Athletic Conference Women's Champion Memphis, they have been named the 2022 preseason favorite in the head coach's vote. Tigers named the favorite after receiving 62 points, including 6 first-place votes. The 2021 regular season champ South Florida was second with 52 points, and UCF and SMU were tied for third at 48 points. Ciorla Miller of Memphis was named the league's preseason Offensive Player of the Year after being named the most outstanding offensive player of the Americans' 2022 championship. Ashley Barron of Cincinnati, the reigning two-time AAC Defensive Player of the Year, has been tabbed to win the award for a third consecutive season. And UCF's Caroline Delisle has been named the conference's preseason Goalkeeper of the Year, having earned 5 clean sheets last year on her way to being the Americans' Goalkeeper of the Year. Delisle on the preseason all-conference team, along with her teammates Daria Raji and Kristen Scott. From Cincinnati, Ashley Barron and Vanessa DiNardo, Emma Clark of Houston, Ciorla Miller and Grace Storty of Memphis, Vivian Bissett of South Florida, Wayne Balada of SMU, along with her teammate Courtney Sabasco, and Evelyn Kavanaugh of Temple. And, of course, in Week 1, the Offensive Player of the Week was Courtney Sabasco of SMU. The Defensive Player of the Week, Ashley Barron of Cincinnati. The Goalkeeper of the Week was Caroline Delisle of UCF. And the Rookie of the Week, Peyton Unnen of SMU. In Week 2, Momo Nakao of Memphis, the Offensive Player of the Week. Abby Soa of East Carolina, the Defensive Player of the Week. The Goalkeeper of the Week was Anna Rexford. And the Rookie of the Week was Sarah Bozeman. Rexford from Cincinnati. Bozeman is from Memphis. Men's soccer. So the regular season tournament champion from a year ago, Tulsa, has been named the unanimous 2022 preseason favorite in that head coaches league vote. The Golden Hurricane were named favorites after receiving 81 points, including all 9 first-place votes from the league's other coaches. Last year's runner-up UCF was second with 66 points, with Charlotte at FIU tied for third with 60 points in their first year in the league. To go along with the unanimous selection in the preseason poll, Tulsa also swept all the preseason superlatives. Alex Meinhardt is the reigning 2-time AAC Conference Offensive Player of the Year and was named the preseason Offensive Player of the Year for a second consecutive season. Mariana Fazio tabbed the preseason Defensive Player of the Year. She was the Americans' Defensive Player of the Year last year. Alex Lopez is the defending AAC Goalkeeper of the Year and the preseason favorite for that award as well. The preseason all-conference team, Luca Dorado of UCF, along with teammates Anderson Rosa and Gino Vivi. Tom Abramson of Florida Atlantic, Stephen Afrifa of FIU, along with his teammate Bernardo dos Santos Monteiro. Matteo Gasparoni, also of FIU, on that team. Sal Mazzaferro of South Florida. Cheyenne Soga of South Florida on the team as well. Nut Allender of SMU. Again, the three Tulsa teammates, Fazio, Lopez, and Meinhard, and they were joined also by one of their teammates, Henry Sock. The Offensive Player of the Week was Jose Ortiz of SMU. The Defensive Player of the Week this past week was Bryce Meredith of Memphis. The Goalkeeper of the Week, Jan Goronski of Temple. And the Rookie of the Week, Elton Hedstrom of SMU. And that's going to put a wrap on this first episode of the new season. Please follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88, and you can follow the Nightline Sports Network at UCF_Nightline. This has been the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.